Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
Brought to you by GlanviaConnect.com.
Hello and welcome to Farmview. Well, as usual, it's Kieran O'Connor here with your weekly show, and once again I have a very busy programme for you this week. Well, on this week's programme I visit one of Waterford's new Signpost Farms aimed at improving environmental and sustainable dairy farming in Waterford. I'll also hear about the 2020 Beef Club's EU Awards, which was presented recently, and plus I talked to Liam MacDonald of Dungarvan based Legacy Cider, and plus as always we'll have our farming calendar.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanviaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, recently on our programme we spoke to Dr. Jerry Boyle, he's head of Teagasc, about the new Signpost programme. It's a Signpost programme organised to promote really environmentally friendly farming, because there's a huge problem out there and people are very much aware. It says that it tells how they will work with farmers to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, reduce ammonia emissions, reduce nutrient losses, enhance biodiversity, save farmers costs and improve the efficiency of food production. It's a big ask, but they're very much up for the task, and in Waterford we're fortunate to have two Signpost programmes, one in West Waterford with Stephen Fitzgerald and one in East Waterford and Portlaw with Shane Fitzgerald, no relation. But earlier in the week I got a chance to drop out to Aglish to Stephen Fitzgerald's farm. First of all, I spoke with his Teagasc advisor Owen Power. Owen, this programme you've been working closely with Shane, a big ask, a lot of issues out there, but something that farmers haven't been shying away from.
No, Kieran, look, farmers are well aware of the issues that are out there, and environment and sustainability is playing a big part and is in the media all the time. And look, you'll see later on what Stephen has been doing on his farm. He's not burying his head in the sand, and he's not ignoring the fact that there are issues there on farm, but there's probably 10 or 12 actions that Stephen has focused on, not just this year but over the last number of years. He's building up a story. Now, the whole area, carbon footprint, greenhouse gas emissions, we're all very much aware of it, but to tackle this, first of all, are we talking about a real long 5 to 10 year plan, or can big improvements be made in the short term, or is this a long term? Look, there's some actions they'll take years for them to come true, like breeding the right type of cow. That's a long story, but you start today and you do it. There's other actions like spreading your slurry in a more environmentally friendly technique, like using low emissions spreading slurry. You can switch from can to protected urea. Those things can have a big impact, relatively short space of time, in space of 6 months, like they're working straight away. Incorporating clover, it takes a bit of time, because it usually only goes in at reseeding time, but maybe oversowing clover into existing swarts will speed up the process as well. So there are actions that will definitely change greenhouse gas emissions straight away. Now, the whole idea of the Signpost programme, because I think Jerry Boyle mentioned in the interview with me that it's so important that farmers see other farmers taking on these new technologies, because it's grand to have more park up there for an open day, but to see a farm like the Fitzgerald farm here taking on these new innovations as such, and definitely seeing the impact it has. Yeah, definitely. Look, farmers really learn from other farmers, and especially if it's in your local area, having one of these Signpost farms, that's where the real benefits. And other farmers, when they see something happening locally, and they'll hear the stories that whether things work or don't work, and that's where people take on the change and embrace new change and new techniques. I will talk to the man himself, Stephen Fitzgerald. Stephen, of course, I've spoken to you several times. You're of course also an open source farmer and parts of the programme with Teagasc and Glanbia. This whole idea of the Signpost programme, great concept, but was it difficult for you to make up the decision when you were approached to become one?
No, Kieran. We all know the challenges ahead of farmers, and no farmers are afraid to take it on, and are willing to do it. It's in our interest to mind the environment and mind our business at the end of the day. So when we were presented with a challenge, we jumped at it, and we've been doing a lot of these things over the years anyway. So it's just a part of our farming practice now to embrace all these new technologies. Now,
as I said in the press release, when you launched, the Signpost programme has been launched to help tackle climate change, the greatest environmental challenge of our time, and one that threatens the favourable climate we have for agriculture in Ireland. That's a huge statement.
Yeah, massive. Farmers know the role they play and the role they have to play in it going forward. We're not afraid to take on the challenge, but we have to be acknowledged for the part we do play in it too. We can't take all the flack and get no reward for what we have and what we're willing to do.
Now, before we came on air, I spoke to you about the whole area of biodiversity and planting, but of course, as you say here, we look out here, the fabulous hedgerows, the trees you have, and the expanded hedgerows and ditches that are already there. I think farmers are not getting credit for a lot that's there, and of course also you got involved with planting as well.
Yeah, even before all this started, we've nearly a kilometre of whitethorn hedges planted the last few years, and over 200 trees, just for our own benefit, for our own farm. They're all small things. Everything we've taken on. They're all small things, and hopefully they'll make a bigger impact over time.
As regards the whole methane effort, what steps can you take to improve that?
The slurry, how we're managing our slurry and our fertiliser, all small things like that have massive impacts on how we're doing. Like we're spreading all our slurry now with trailing shoe, and we're making better use of it. The whole farm now, you could say, is getting slurry at some stage of the year, and we've changed from can to protected urea. All small measures like this.
What difference does that make for the outsider listening in? We've said it several times on the programme about switching from can to protected urea. What's the benefit there?
It's very similar grass growth for us. We grew 13 tonnes of grass last year, and we'll probably do the same again this year. It's just a different form of fertiliser. It's better for the environment and just takes an extra bit of managing and getting used to it on the farm, but it's just better for the environment.
And of course, as I mentioned, you're part of the open source farm, and I spoke to you before about this whole area of grassland management. The outsiders listening to us are saying, my God, measuring grass, the benefits of that both for you as a farmer and from an environmental point of view.
Yeah, like I'd say we walk the farm, I'd say 40 times a year, just to know what we have on the farm, because if you don't know what you have, you can't manage what you have. Then we're able to tailor our fertiliser or slurry to the paddocks that we know that are able to grow the grass, and the paddocks need improving. Reflecting the cows, the performance of the cows and the cattle.
Now, cows and breeding and the EBI and that whole area has become so scientific, but the importance of that, getting that right, can have a huge impact as well, both from an economic point of view and also again from an environmental point of view.
Yeah, like currently the EBI is 191 in the herd here at the moment. Like I always said, it's easy to have a good cow as a bad
breeding index.
Yeah, the EBI, it's as easy to have a good cow as a bad cow. So you still have to get up in the morning and milk her. So we put a lot of emphasis into breeding the right cow for our system. So we're trying to get as much milk out of and much solids out of every cow we have, and it reflects in the profit then of the farm going forward.
So number wise, just before we come in here, you mentioned 160 cows for this farm. You're really maximising this area. Have you a bit of beef running as well?
Yeah, myself and my father, we're farming here together, so we have the beef and the dairy running together, and we kind of share it and work to them hand in hand. As
regards the parlour itself, again, you're seeing a future here when you mentioned that you're looking at building a new parlour. That's really you putting up your hand and say you're in this for the long haul.
Yeah, 100%. Like for my own lifestyle and for my family lifestyle and things like that, like the more efficient a parlour is energy wise and time wise, the better it is for us in the long run. We're going to make it as energy efficient, going back to the environment as we can. We're going to put in variable speed motors and all the everything we can, and solar panels and all these kind of things like to help.
As regards people listening on the outside, you're here on a family farm, you're back working with your dad. Is it a partnership or what kind of system?
It is a partnership, yeah.
At what stage did you feel that farming was for you, or were you always a man for the farm, or was it were you a late convert?
No, in primary school even, like you'd be waiting for 3 o'clock to come home and put on your wellies and go out and things like that. But
you're lucky you have your mum and your dad, Richie. And
100%, and we all play, or we all have our own part to play in it, and that's how it should be,
So if people listening on the outside, because there's been a lot of talk of greenhouse gases and the whole area of methane gases and whatever, what do you say to people that are saying dairy farmers are causing a huge problem to the environment and are sticking their head in the sand as such?
It's hard to argue with some people, but farmers know the role we have played in the environment and what we have to do going forward. So every farmer, it's a topic of conversation, every discussion group, every farmer you talk to, they realise the pressure that's coming on farming, and they're willing to put their hand up and say, look, we'll take this, we'll challenge it as best we can, and we'll see where it goes.
And of course there's costs involved. A lot of what we're talking about here, these new technologies cost money. So people on the outside mightn't realise you're willing to invest heavily, and when you even talk of protected urea and the whole trailing shoe.
Like everything we've done has come at a financial cost, but at the end of the day, we can't take these challenges, we can't do these things without putting money into it, and we will get a reward for it in the long run.
And you feel yourself, we mentioned it again earlier, the whole area of when you look out here, beautiful lush grass, you have the hedges, you have the trees, and that you're not getting the credit for the positives. There's a lot of negativity against farmers.
There seems to be. There's a lot of pressure coming on farmers. It feels like, I won't say we're being attacked, we are in a degree, like we know what we have, like our livelihoods depend on what we have, and like we're willing to accept our role in improving the whole thing.
Well, definitely you've put your hand up. You're a signpost farmer, and final word to Owen Power. Owen, of course, part of this whole idea of a signpost farmer, you have a guy like Stephen and Shane Fitzgerald down in Portlaw, is that other farmers will be able to come and see firsthand what's here, and hopefully when we get over this whole COVID, that I suppose that is the big aim of this, and indeed the figures coming from the farm.
Yes, Kieran, and look, as I said, farmers learn from other farmers, and like our purpose of these farms is having them in the local area. We'll have farm walks, so as you said, when COVID is finished and over, please God sooner, and we'll have these farm walks and we'll be able to demonstrate, what Stephen is doing, and demonstrate, his hedges, his slurry management, his nutrient management plans, his protected ureas, and all the different aspects that he's doing on the farm to try and combat.
And are you confident that these measures will end up with a positive result as regards this whole environmental impact?
Definitely. If you do a small bit in every area, you're definitely going to have a big improvement over the whole scheme of it.
Owen Power at Teagasc and Stephen Fitzgerald, thanks for having us out here this morning. Best of luck in the future. And we look forward to the big open day here, hopefully early next year. Stephen, thanks for that.
Thanks, Kieran.
Well, the 2020 Beef Club has recently taken the coveted European Award for Cooperative Innovation. The 2020 Beef Club, of course, is a partnership between Glanbia Ireland and KEPAC, has won that coveted award for cooperative innovation in the international competition. It was shortlisted under the Economic Value Creation category. And to tell us all about it, we're joined from KEPAC by their Agri-Business Development Manager, Mick O'Dowd. Mick, welcome back to our programme.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Delighted to speak with you again.
Mick, first of all, congratulations. Fantastic honour for yourselves and Glanbia Ireland. You might give the background to the awards and how important this award was for both of you.
Oh yeah, we're really proud of the award. JICA is the General Confederation for European Agri-Cooperatives and represents thousands of cooperatives across Europe. So it's a pretty prestigious award, and awarding us with this award, the judges said that the 2020 Beef Club was, to quote them, an innovative beef production model that's integrated right across the supply chain and has at its heart the long-term economic and environmental sustainability of its farmer members. And that really was a great endorsement of the work that we've been doing over the last few years with the programme, and as I say, delighted that we won it.
Now, there was over 100 entries from right across Europe, and the judges said that you're an outstanding innovation that creates a valuable impact to the value chain. You might explain to our listeners the actual background to the 2020 Beef Club and what makes it stand out from others.
It was launched by the Minister for Agriculture in April of 2019, Kieran, but a lot of work had gone in between Glanbia and KEPAC prior to that, obviously, and with farmers as well, in terms of getting feedback from farmers. So I suppose primarily it's about bringing more certainty to the beef farmer. It's about improving the quality of the beef calf that's coming off the dairy herd. And how we do that really is through genetic, and the farmer is obviously getting a full support package from the team and good guidance on the type of genetics to be using on their herd. Coupled with that is the nutrition support that comes from the Glanbia team. So all the inputs are for that farmer and their production system are sourced through Glanbia. And as I mentioned already, it comes then, both of those things are with a support package, which we call the technical support team, coming from both Glanbia and the KEPAC side. In the initial phase of the development of the calf, mainly it's coming from the Glanbia side, but closer to the finishing stage, the KEPAC team will be involved with the farmer on a weekly basis. And then crucially, which I suppose the COGICA called out, is there's a guaranteed pricing structure there for the farmer. So when the farmer registers their calves in the programme, they know that 2 years' time, when they come to process that animal, they know that the guaranteed pricing structure that they will be able to obtain for that animal.
How difficult was it for you to give that guarantee? Because for any system to give a guarantee 2 years out is pretty unique in its own. How do you guard against being able to do that from the whole 2020 Beef Club?
So the guarantee is not setting a specific price, it's given a guaranteed premium above the market. So it's a very clear, transparent model to the farmer. So if the farmer is registering their calf today, it's that they know how much they will be above the market in 2 years' time or whenever they come to process their animal. So what we do is we look at the average of the base price that's been paid across all the industry throughout the country at the time of processing, and that average becomes the base price, the starting price, and above that then the farmer gets a 2020 Club premium plus any of the other bonuses that will go for quality assurance, breed bonus, Aberdeen Angus or Hereford, but also then there's seasonality bonuses within the club as well. So for the April, May, June period, those bonuses, or additional bonuses, are available accessible to the farmer as well.
Mick, was it the case that Keepack, indeed Glanbia Ireland as well, saw an opportunity here? Because was it the case that farmers weren't producing the right type of animal, be it from breed, feed, management, that what you required from a processor point of view and for, in the end, the consumer, there was an opportunity there to produce really what the consumer wants and to do it in a timely fashion and a very economic and indeed environmentally friendly fashion?
Absolutely. Like as I alluded to earlier, Kieran, there's a number of kind of pillars to what we were trying to design. One of them was bringing more certainty to the beef farmer. One of them was improving the quality of the calf coming off the dairy herd. Another was providing a guaranteed market for that animal, and then listening to the consumer and responding to with a product that has strong environmental credentials.
And would you feel that a lot of the farmers involved now, a lot would have dairy background, but the grassland management of the dairy farmer has really moved on to an unbelievable high, probably one of the best in the world? And would you feel a lot of people involved in the dry stock, there was room for improvement there? So between Keepack and Glanbia Ireland, you saw the opportunity, indeed the genetics area as well, and bringing the animals forward to slaughter 4.5 months younger than the national average. That was a huge key factor for this programme.
That was, we speak a lot about the financial rewards and what the price is and what the premium is, but really what the farmers and the members have come back to us more than anything has been the technical support, and that's that support coming from the Glanbia team around nutrition, around grassland management, around genetics, and then ensuring that the animal is well finished and ready for processing. And that's something we keep repeating as a mantra to all our members. We want to achieve in every bone as possible, so make sure the animal is well finished, hitting the weight spec, and coupled with that, which you mentioned, is that by doing all that, there's greater efficiency coming through their system. The steers are being slaughtered on average at 24 months, the heifers at 22 months, and as you mentioned, that's on average about 4 months younger than the national average.
It's a fantastic achievement considering you've just set up in April 2019. Number-wise, where are you this year? Where are you going forward? Or is there a ceiling happening for the numbers that you can handle within this 2020 Beef Club?
Oh yeah, no ceiling. In the first year, in the pilot phase, we targeted 6,000 cattle, and that's what we achieved, and they've all been processed. They were 2019 born calves. The 2020 born, they will start to come through from next month on, and there's about 20,000 of those registered and in the system. And then already for the 2021 born calves, over 30,000 of those have been registered and contracted already. So it's progressing steadily and exactly as planned.
Well, unfortunately, because of COVID restrictions, the official ceremony, I know, has been postponed, I believe, till the early December 2021 in Brussels. It's a fantastic achievement for Glanbia Ireland and for Keepack, and indeed getting the special award at the Award for Cooperative Innovation in the whole area of economic value creation. Mick O'Dowd, to yourself, and O'Dowd to Martin Ryan and Glanbia Ireland, all involved. Fantastic, well done. Keep up the great work, and I'm sure the farmers within the region who have been involved are thrilled to be involved, and let's hope we'll have a bigger uptake over the next year or two. Mick O'Dowd from Keepack, of course, Agri-Business Development Manager at Keepack. Mick, thanks for taking our call, and once again, congratulations.
Thanks very much, Kieran.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.
And you're welcome back to part 2 of Farmview. Now, before I talk to Liam MacDonald of Legacy Cider, I want to remind you once again what a fantastic array of farmers markets and country markets we have around the city and county. This Saturday morning, Waterford Farmers Market, John Roberts Square, Tramore Farmers Market, Priest Road, Tramore, and Strabley Farmers Market every Saturday morning from 10 until 1. On Sunday, you've choices of Lismore Farmers Market, Castle Avenue, Lismore, running from 10 until 4, while the Ardmore Farmers Market just off the beach car park runs every Sunday from 11 until 3. Thursday morning, Dungarvan Farmers Market, Grattan Square, running from 9 until 2, while on Friday mornings we've Dungarvan Country Markets at the Scouts Den in Abbeyside from 9 till 1, while also on Friday mornings we've Waterford Farmers Market in St Olave's Hall, also running from 9 until 1.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
So to get an update on how COVID has affected business, especially in the food and drink area, and particularly here in West Waterford, earlier in the week I went along to the cidery in the Dungarvan Business Park to catch up with the man himself from Legacy Cider, Liam MacDonald. First of all, Liam, last time I was with you was in the middle of lockdown, and indeed the effect it was having with restaurants and pubs closing. How has it gone for you overall as we're thankfully coming out of all of this?
Oh, Kieran, thank God it's much better. I mean, when we were talking last, it wasn't a good scene really. And now, thank God, things are opening up. We've outdoor dining, which is good, and more importantly, the weather. The weather is good. The sun is out. People are much more positive. And listen, sun time is cider time, so that's good.
And you've mentioned several times before, Legacy comes from the Legacy, and it doesn't get better than from the McDonald's, who originated, of course, from Tallow Wilsey, your grandfather, your Uncle Willie, and of course your dad Pat. So involved over the years. So a great name for a great product, really, a local-based product.
Absolutely, Kieran, yeah. And the apples that we're using, like we would have started out with Elstar, Katie, Bramley. They're all of the original apples that would have been grown in my dad's fruit farm back in Corraheen from my grandfather. So it's all still keeping within tradition like that.
Now, obviously, it's a very competitive market, and we know the dominance of the Bulmers and Magners and some other international products. How difficult has it been for you to break? And definitely, you must be thrilled with the fabulous range that you now have achieved.
Yeah. Well, it is. No, it's definitely a battle. Like we're such a small proportion of the cider market. It's obviously dominated by your likes of Bulmers and Rockshore and the other big ones. We're making our way in. Like the combination of the partnership now with Longways Cider has been fantastic. Yes. So we have an extra 3 ciders in, which are Longways Elderflower, we've got Sweet Katie, and we've got Longways Medium Dry, and they're very different to the current range that we'd have. So this is after adding a huge amount to our range.
Of course, that was a great move for you. Yourself and James from Longways in South Tip came together. Now you have an option of the 6 or 7 products. When you go to a restaurant, when you go to a supermarket, now you have a fantastic range across all tastes with cider.
No, it works much better, and it's much easier for people to purchase from it. As well as that, our range is kind of wider now, so you've got some, like the Elderflower would be kind of for a younger age group, and the Legacies are for an older age group. So we got a range to satisfy everyone. But as well as that, Kieran, one of the big pluses with James and myself joining as a partnership was that kind of James is all about production. He loves being inside in the cidery, working away, helping us out on the production side of it, and I'm kind of more on the road in the sales element. So we just bounce off each other really well.
Now I'm hearing the cidery, there's vats all over the place, but there's a lot of barrels as well. Has the timber made a difference, that the old timber barrel, or is it the more modern vats that prove to be the better?
Well, the modern vats are great. So the big steel tanks that you see there are great for holding the stock. Like what we do is we press in the autumn. As soon as the apples are harvested, we press all of our apples, and that's all that we have. Like for instance, this year now we're doing 120,000 litres. That's a lot of apples now, I'll tell you.
A lot of squeezing there.
A lot of squeezing there.
And as regards the time it takes, is it a bit like wine? The longer the better, or is there a minimum time? Is there a maximum time?
Well, it's not so much kind of I suppose the longer the better.
Fermenting,
with the really high end stuff. But like we're so different to beer. People kind of throw us into the same bucket as beer, but we're miles apart from it. We're just like wine. So basically, you get all of your pure apple juice. We ferment that, and from that point, it takes about 6 months at least to make the cider. We squash all of our apples. As I said, you get all of your volume, and that's all that you have for the rest of the year.
You must be delighted to support you've gotten. Thankfully, they're all starting to open, and hopefully open outdoors and now hopefully indoors. Restaurants, hotel, bars, and indeed the supermarkets within Waterford in the southeast.
Yeah. Oh no, Kieran, it's fantastic. Our sales are still predominantly down in County Waterford. Like we're breaking into the Dublin market and the Cork market, but it's all about Waterford. But like it's the restaurants have really backed us. Dungarvan has been fantastic,
and the golf clubs. West Waterford Golf Club. Austin's after getting some more Legacy out there now. So I know they're great, and like without them we wouldn't be here. Like. Liam, listen, it's a fantastic story. I know your dad very much involved, and he still is a great inventor when it came to the cornet, the miniature apple tree, and your granddad Willie and your uncle Willie up in Tallow. You're keeping up a great legacy. I'm delighted that you've survived this difficult year for everyone involved. I'm delighted to hear that it's going so well, and now with the fantastic range you have at Longways and Legacy, and of course the Legacy Dry, you wouldn't get better. Liam, thanks for talking to me.
Thanks very much, Karen.
And before I go on the racing front, we had a good week again for local Waterford connections cross-channel. We had wins for Dungarvan jock Trevor Whelan at Wolverhampton, Ballyonee native Pat Phelan saddled a winner at Linkfield, while Dungarvan native Dennis Coakley saddled a good winner at Salisbury. While back home at Stapmel again, Henry de Bromhead, what a week again for Henry de Bromhead. Henry saddled winners at Leopardstown, Cork, as well as a double at Limerick. While also had wins for Dylan Robinson, the Waterford jockey at Cork, Kappa trainer Declan Quealy at Kilbeggan. Waterford's Robert and Noel Dooley from Tramore combined to a great
success also at Kilbeggan, while the Fasty for Fun Syndicate were in the winners' enclosure at Limerick, and ring owner breeder Mary O'Donnell was back in the winners' enclosure at Sligo. Great week all round for local connection. Well, that's it for this week's programme. Once again, my thanks to Ollie and Sean for all their help in putting this week's programme together. So keep up that protocol, and hopefully I'll have your company again same time next week.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.